Am I
Yes,
audible
Durga.
to you?
Yes, Durga, you're audible. And the other speakers can also check their sound. And we are all looking forward to having a great session. Thank you, everyone. Over to you, Durga.
Thank you, sir. Hello. Hello, everyone. I am Durga. I hope I'm audible to all. You can check your mic once if you want. Hi, Hemangi.
Hi.
Hi, Palashi.
Hello.
Thank you. And Komal. So let's start because हमारे सब panelists यहाँ पे हैं. जय भीम all. और thank you so much for being here to us. And as our title suggests, women in research, challenges and learning. जिस तरह से हमारा जो टाइटल है वो बता रहा है कि लाइक कि इस सेशन में क्या होने वाला है, किस बारे में बात होने वाली है कि लाइक विमेन इन रिसर्च, ये पूरा जो सेशन है उसके बारे में हम जानने वाले हैं. और हमारे साथ है डॉक्टर हेमांगी कटलक, डॉक्टर कोमल रजक एंड पालाशी वाघेला, जो उनका जो भी एक्सपीरियंस रहा है इस जर्नी के थ्रू उसके बारे में जानने वाले हैं. और बिफोर गोइंग टू स्टार्ट आवर सेशन आई वांट टू टेल दैट कि we have lots of young researchers here to listen you, and especially the women, because it's all about us to know the journey that you have faced already. And from your journey I want to we want to learn a lot of things to tackle with it. So I want to invite our first speaker, Dr. Hemangi Kadlak, jo now she is working in dean as in social work in Mahatma Gandhi College of Social Work, Delhi. And please ma'am, आप आपकी जो भी जर्नी रही है, आपने जो भी एक्सपीरियंस किया है, प्लीज फ्री टू शेयर विथ अस. Over to you. Thank you.
Okay. First of all, I would like to thank Nalanda Academy for inviting me such a wonderful conference, Ayyankali conference, because I could read Ayyankali when I was in Tamil Nadu, and when I was teaching students, social reformers. So one of the social reformers was Ayyankali, and from that reading, I could really understand what the Ayyankali did and how was his journey. And so therefore, I'm really thankful to you that giving me the space for such a iconic hero. On that name, you have kept this conference. So about my journey, I born in slum area and brought up in Chawl, 10 by 12 kind of house. My father is a retired sanitation worker. He was called as a scavenger. That was the word I could see on his designation. So that is my journey, and I'm the first higher educated person in man and in woman in my family. He has 2 brothers and sisters, but I'm the first person from all his brothers and sisters and from his family as well, the first educated person in the family. The journey was definitely not easy. I was not knowing how to do, what to do, but only the motivation was from my father that education is the only way for you to go for or emancipate yourself or your society. My father always taught me that I'm your biological father, or I'm your my mother and father are biological parents, but your real father is Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar, and what you are here because of him. And if you wouldn't have if you wouldn't have got the opportunity, you wouldn't have been here. And therefore he always said from childhood that you have to pay back to the society, because what the privilege you are availing or you are getting is because of somebody's contribution in the past. And that ideology or that kind of socialization I have been from this my childhood. Though I was economically poor, I was not having resources at all, but that only the motivation he could give. And with this motivation only, I didn't see any other things other than education. And he knew that he always told me that you cannot do any other work, because he was knowing that he is a sanitation worker, he is a scavenger, but he never told me, nor my family members told me that I'm a doctor of sanitation workers or a scavenger. And I was keep on like searching myself where my father is, what my father is working. And all other my friends used to tell me, all used to discuss that their fathers are doing this kind of such business work and this. But I always had the curiosity in my mind, like what my father is doing, and nobody's telling. Even I used to ask my family members what my father is doing. So sometimes they used to say that he's a peon, he does other work, but never gave me such kind of concrete answer. And that thirst to know my father's occupation, it made me too crazy that why these people are not giving the right answer. And one day, like I'm the literate person in my family, and therefore he used to give me for all forms for filling up. And one day, like when I was, I think, under graduation, I think in SY, so he asked me to fill up a form for his some official kind of leave or something. And there I saw that his designation as a scavenger. And I was not knowing the meaning of scavenger, because I was from Marathi medium background. And then I searched dictionaries, like what is the meaning of scavenger, what my father is doing. And then I came to know that what is the meaning of scavenger. And since then my journey started for uplifting of the scavengers whole this community. And this is the journey. And my MPhil and PhD, I took this subject because I belongs to this such kind of occupation, caste, class, gender, all these kind of layers of intergenerational intersectionality, all deprivations. And now whatever I'm here, this is because of my parents. And definitely what my father said, that my social father is my Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar, and because of him I'm here. So this is my journey till now. And I'm heading one organization, a women organization, that is a Sri Vajin Foundation. Another, I'm also heading now one department of social work department. So I'm here now. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your sharing your journey with us. It is really heart touching that you come from such a background. That is a really big thing to have such achievement in your life, and I'm really happy for you. And this is really inspiring for us to, like, someone like you is in front of us to be like a model. Thank you so much, Hemangi, to like आपने जो भी बोला उसके लिए थैंक यू. एंड अबाउट क्वेश्चन एंड आंसर वी विल टेक लाइक जब पूरे जो हमारे पैनलिस्ट थे उनका जब टॉक खत्म हो जाएगा हम उनके बाद में उनके क्वेश्चन आंसर लेते हैं. तो आवर नेक्स्ट पैनलिस्ट इज कोमल रजक. and I want to invite her to talk. And she's working at IISER Mohali at Political Science Department. Welcome, ma'am. I hope you are listening. Komal, that is okay. Thank you, ma'am. Am I audible to you?
Yes. Hello.
Yeah, you are audible. Hello.
So yeah, Jai Bhim everyone, and very congratulations for organizing first friends for the researchers. And they come out of it. Generally, general case in India, we in academia know very well that the challenges are do have socio-cultural base driven from societal and cultural structure, and these kind of challenges do not only limit women's participation and representation in such spaces, but also it impacts future evolutions also, because any kind of evolution can happen through when every member of the society can participate in her or his full capacity. So obviously it's very necessary to understand the challenges and to address all the challenges. And since like our society having caste as its basic structure, so obviously these challenges do have patriarchal challenges when it comes to women's representation and women's uh, identity, but these are the caste background. If you are coming trans person. So research itself a challenging job, or researcher has to go through a lot of challenges during their research period or research work. But there's a or reduce or use our discussion for this gap. It refers basically the predominantly the absence of women and system. It refers to a situation that
Komal. हेलो आपका कंटिन्यू आवाज ब्रेक हो रहा है
to increase the gender representation.
हेलो
Okay, so the main in highly educated institution to examine the behavior of researchers person in general, and a viewer play a significant role in that high level. So not only about women, particular case of like women particularly, a higher educated person play a significant role in building the nation, human capital, and the overall socio-cultural economic development of a country to make it sustainable. It helps in the understanding of societal norms, gives individuals self-reliance, and discourages discrimination based on gender, caste, beliefs, religion, and social classes. So However, like in the present scenario, if we compare it from previous or from the past, it is somehow heartening as women in higher education institutions.
हेलो कोमल,
Hello.
हाँ, अगर आप अपना कैमरा ऑफ कर दो तो शायद कंटिन्यू आवाज आएगा, क्योंकि वो ब्रेक हो रहा है।
Okay, let me try.
हाँ, आप कैमरा ऑफ कर दो, आपको ऑडियो रहने दो।
Okay, am I audible now?
हाँ, परफेक्ट।
Okay. Experiences and is increasing significant technology. The participation of women should still shoot up. It is still very less, and there is a need to develop gender. Not only women, but the pedagogy need to be changed. And provide flexibility to face a world of opportunities and challenges. So, like there are various aspects of addressing why women are very less in academia in general and in sciences particularly. So. Has been a subject of much discussion and debate. Families are beginning to value girls as equal to boys. There are still overwhelming cultural and economic reasons why female children are not raised. So, in their academic journey, streams are women's.
हेलो कोमल,
them to, so sciences are considered as masculine, and so boys are taken into the sciences. So these are the basic understanding of this, that how society and this socialization distinguish between women's interests and males interests, and it takes them to different academic streams. So, but when they come to academic spaces, and then there we have to decide, there we have to understand that what kind of problem they do have in their respective streams and their respective academic journey. So, since I'm coming from social science background, I have like in political science, I have submitted my PhD. So there. In those various examples research scholars, research interest something. For instance, there are some scholar advice to work on some specific aspects. For example, like I know a case where our in women's empowerment contribution in women's question, like on women's question in a. So, and like I know there was a continuous debate and discussion in the department when this girl was trying to discuss and about her interest on Ambedkar's philosophy, and there were faculties who were like very dominant faculty in the department who were trying to manipulate her to work on Gandhi's contribution. Not be studied, cannot be researched, but
कोमल, हेलो,
interest. Sometimes faculty try to.
हेलो कोमल,
research interact. So and sometimes sometimes it's
Komal,
very
I
bad
think
and disturbing.
Komal, I think there is some major network connection, and a lot of our audiences are also saying they can't hear you. So maybe what we can do is we can listen to Palashi and we can come back to you. आप थोड़ा network एक बार देख लो if we can improve it, क्योंकि हम कुछ सुन नहीं पा रहे हैं actually. आप जो बोल रहे हो वो बीच बीच में कट कट के आ रहा है और हम फॉलो नहीं कर पा रहे हैं. So maybe we can just turn that around. So Durga, if you can just intervene and maybe conduct the session, and maybe we can come back to Komal. That will be a good thing. Just my suggestion. आप लोग देख लो कैसे करना.
Yes, sir. Even I was trying to do it, but उनका network issue है इसलिए I can't talk to her. Hello, Komal.
Hello.
हाँ, are you okay with this?
Yeah, I'm fine.
हाँ, thank you so much. हम आपसे फिर से आते हैं, तब तक आप थोड़ा नेटवर्क का थोड़ा सॉल्व करने की कोशिश करिएगा. थैंक यू. क्योंकि कोमल जी का थोड़ा नेटवर्क का इशू था, इसलिए हम हमारे जो थर्ड पैनलिस्ट है पालाशी वाघेला, हम उनको इनवाइट करते हैं और उनको बोलते हैं, मतलब उनसे पालाशी वाघेला जो कॉर्नेल यूनिवर्सिटी में अपनी पीएचडी कर रही है, मैं उनको इनवाइट करती हूँ कि वो जो अपना एक्सपीरियंस है इन दिस एरिया वो हमारे साथ शेयर करें.
Thank you, Durga. Am I audible?
Yes, Palashi.
Okay. अगर कभी भी मेरा ऑडियो या कॉम्प्रोमाइज होता है तो बताइएगा. Just feel free to interrupt me. Jai Bheen, everybody, or thank you so much for Nalanda Labs and this team for organizing this brilliant conference and for inviting me to be a panelist here. And it is so inspiring to hear of both Komal and Dr. Hemangini's journey also in this space. मेरी journey थोड़ी अलग है. मैं अपनी PhD बाहर कर रही हूँ इंडिया के, पर I'm the second generation of an educated person in my Dalit family, and so it just in brief मैं अपने personal experience के बारे में थोड़ा सा बताऊंगी, but मैं focus करना चाहूंगी कि हम as we speak about this topic is panel mein, I wanted to focus on how some of my experiences have helped me understand ki kaise you can both survive and thrive in research. So just a short introduction about me. I grew up in Surat, and मेरी life का सबसे बड़ा benefit ये था कि मैं convent school में English पढ़ के बड़ी हुई, and so that was a very big benefit. And my parents, who are both Gujarati medium educated, they're doctors, but they really insisted कि मैं English medium में पढूं. And in the conference also, I know that there is a discussion on English, and there is a very big bias in the research community towards English, जो obviously I'm sure हम सबको पता ही होगा. साथ ही साथ मैंने अपनी engineering की आगे बढ़कर, मेरे parents भी बहुत, just like Dr. Hemangini, they were very, very insistent on making sure that education is the most important thing that I focus on. And after my engineering, I realized कि मुझे technology में तो interest है, but I'm really interested in thinking about how technology and society interact with each other. तो मैंने अपने engineering के बाद जो मैंने job ली थी वो छोड़कर I started working in the social work sector. और उसके थ्रू मैंने होप किया था कि मैं ट्रांजिशन कर पाऊंगी रिसर्च में, बट विद अ लॉट ऑफ हेल्प एंड सपोर्ट फ्रॉम माय अंडरग्रेजुएट एडवाइजर as well as some other seniors, I was able to apply for a PhD outside. और मैं अभी अपनी PhD information science में कर रही हूँ, जो कि जहाँ पर मैं फोकस कर रही हूँ कास्ट और जेंडर पे अपने field में, which is in the IT industry or the technology industry in India and Indian diaspora. और मैं एक दो incident बताना चाहूँगी जिससे मुझे लगता है कि हम broadly not just about women in research but also किस तरह से अलग forms of marginalization within research जो भी हम encounter करते हैं, whether you are a woman, whether you are a lower caste person, whether you come from marginalized gender and sexual positions या आप कोई disabled position से आ रहे हैं, तो उस तरह मेरे खुद के experiences have made me think a lot about two things. One is about power and second is about vulnerability. और first मैं इस चीज पे focus करना चाहूंगी कि recently मुझे एक AI आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस एंड कास्ट के पैनल पे बुलाया गया था एक लीडिंग आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस कॉन्फ्रेंस में, जो कि अभी आपने नाम तो बहुत ही ज्यादा सुना होगा, इट इज अ वेरी बिग बज़वर्ड और सब इसके बारे में बात कर रहे हैं। एंड द पर्सन ऑर्गेनाइजिंग द पैनल वाज आल्सो बहुजन एंड they invited me to be on the panel as a Dalit PhD student. और जब मुझे उन्होंने इनवाइट किया तो मैंने उनको सामने से कहा कि बट मैं सब्जेक्ट मैटर एक्सपर्ट की तरह आना चाहती हूँ, बिकॉज आई एक्चुअली स्टडी कास्ट इन टेक, सो आई डोंट वांट टू टॉक अबाउट only the fact that I'm a Dalit woman doing my PhD on this, but the fact that I'm actually a subject matter expert working on caste and technology. तो इस नेगोशिएशन से मैंने उनको कहा कि आप प्लीज मुझे उस तरह से इनवाइट करें और उसी तरह से इंट्रोड्यूस भी करें पैनल पर। सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट बात इसमें ये थी कि मेरी फील्ड में बहुत ही कम हमारी कम्युनिटी से लोग हैं और साथ ही साथ बहुत ही ग्रोइंग इंटरेस्ट है इस एरिया में। एंड सो देयर इज अ टेंडेंसी ऑफ नॉट ओनली women but all kinds of people from different communities who are marginalized in academia to be tokenized in these spaces. And so what I really found helpful वहां पर कि obviously आप जो भी community से आ रहे हैं उससे जुड़ी हुई vulnerabilities हैं आपके लिए, और what does it mean to be vulnerable, right? Like what does it mean to do this work as a Dalit person? वो एक separate discussion है, उसके बारे में मैं बाद में बात करूंगी। But what is important is कि आप इस space में अपने terms पर जाएं और अपने terms पर आप negotiate करेंगे। आप not only because you're a woman or not only because you're somebody from a particular community, you are being invited and asked for a talk, but also to see कि आप as a intellectual, as a thinker, as a academic, as a researcher क्या ऑफर कर रहे हैं उस चीज के बारे में। एंड ये टेंडेंसी बहुत ही ज्यादा सवर्णा स्पेसेस में होती है कि they see themselves as experts and we are the people who talk about experience, है ना। and so theorization से लेकर practical experience से लेकर हर चीज में भी कास्ट का रोल बहुत ही उम्दा है। बट one of the things that I realized इस experience से ये था कि ये चीज मुझे अपने आप realize नहीं हुई थी। one of the things that this realization was very much supported by my advisor, and so one of the biggest tips मैं ये देना चाहूंगी जो भी research pursue करना चाह रहा है, किसी भी location से आप आ रहे हैं, कि आप advisor को अपने उनके reputation या काम या prestige पे decide ना करें प्लीज। मैंने तो इंडिया के रिसर्च स्पेसेस में और भी ज्यादा हॉरर स्टोरीज सुनी है, तो आई ऑब्वियसली कैन नॉट स्पीक टू दैट बिकॉज मेरा एक्सपीरियंस थोड़ा अलग रहा है। बट उस केस में तो इट बिकम्स इवन मोर इम्पोर्टेंट टू फाइंड एन एडवाइजर हु हैज योर बैक, जो कि आपको एक टोकन पर्सन की तरह ना देखे। नॉट ओनली दैट बट आप अपनी लोकेशन को किस तरह से यूटिलाइज और उस तरह से आप किस तरह से अपने रिसर्च में उसको इन्वॉल्व करके अपनी पोजीशन को और पावरफुल बना सकते हैं, उसमें आपके एडवाइजर का बहुत ही बड़ा रोल होता है। एंड द सेकेंड इंस्टेंस दैट आई वांटेड टू टॉक अबाउट वाज, मैं अपनी रिसर्च एक्चुअली कर रही हूँ बहुत ही सवर्णा डोमिनेटेड स्पेस में, जो कि आईटी इंडस्ट्री आपको शायद पता ही होगा कि बहुत ही ज्यादा अपर कास्ट डोमिनेटेड स्पेस है, और स्पेशली इंडिया में तो उसके बारे में ज्यादा कुछ बात ही नहीं हो रही है। कास्ट इज अ नॉन क्वेश्चन इन दिस स्पेस। एंड सो रिसेंटली मेरा एक फील्ड वर्क एक्सपीरियंस था जो मैं शेयर करना चाहूंगी, जिससे भी मुझे बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट लर्निंग मिली है जो मैं शेयर करना चाहती हूँ। मेरे फील्ड वर्क में मैंने रिसेंटली अभी ब्राह्मण women के साथ, women engineers के साथ इंटरव्यूज करना शुरू किया है। एंड सो ऑब्वियसली इट इज अ प्लेस ऑफ एक्सट्रीम वल्नरेबिलिटी फॉर मी, क्योंकि मैं अपनी लोकेशन से जब किसी को इंटरव्यू कर रही हूँ, मेरे पास ऑब्वियसली एज अ रिसर्चर एक अमाउंट ऑफ पावर है, बट सामने वाले इंसान के पास, being the fact that they are Savarna or they have an important position in the industry, they have a power of their own. तो रिसेंटली मेरे एक इंटरव्यू के बाद मेरे पार्टिसिपेंट ने अपनी कंसेंट विदड्रॉ कर ली थी कि मैं ओके नहीं हूँ इस इंटरव्यू से, बिकॉज आप एंड उनकी कंप्लेंट्स वाज अबाउट द फैक्ट दैट मैं कास्ट ला रही हूँ व्हेन कास्ट इज एक्चुअली ब्रिंगिंग अप कास्ट डिवाइड्स द क्वेश्चन ऑफ वुमेन इन टेक, जो कि वो इम्पोर्टेंटली उस पर काम करती हैं। सो मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंटली इससे मेरे पे ये असर हुआ था कि I started doubting my own capability as a researcher, because I was thinking कि I'm doing something not right in the way that I'm not being able to get the data I need. But one of the other advisors that is advising me, who also works on caste, or I must say कि मेरे कोई भी advisor सवर्ण नहीं है, so I think उस relationship के बारे में मैं ज़्यादा inform नहीं कर पाऊंगी, but मैं ये कहना चाहती हूँ कि तीनों advisors जो मुझे support कर रहे हैं मेरे PhD research में, all three of them have helped me understand कि जो भी doubts मेरे research में raise हो रहे हैं because of the fact कि मैं अपनी location से caste पढ़ रही हूँ within a very upper caste dominated industry in tech. It is part of the question I'm addressing, right? Like the fact that I think it is my fault and the fact that this is my methodological challenge कि मैं बात नहीं करवा पा रही हूँ upper caste local से about caste. And so my advisor reminded me कि आप जो vulnerability feel कर रही हैं इस moment में, जिसमें आपको लग रहा है कि आपकी कोई गलती है, आप कर नहीं पाओगे ये research, आपके like you don't have the capacity to do this work, is actually part of the revelations that your research is developing. So my point being here कि आपको moments within academia, because it's such a upper caste and not just upper caste but male dominated and a heteronormative space, there will be so many spots where you will realize that, you know, you will be feeling like it's my fault, you know, I'm doing something wrong, I am not being able to fit in, but the structures are not meant for you to fit in. So आप जितना भी कोशिश करेंगी आप या करेंगे, it will be a challenge. And what is important to remember in those moments of vulnerability is that there is a way to find power in that space of vulnerability, but वो अकेले नहीं कर सकते हैं. So you need support. And one of the important things that I wanted to share here is that मेरे लिए support अलग-अलग तरह से आया. Of course, my parents and my family are very important in helping me go through this, so are my advisors. But एक supportive group of peers भी उतना ही important है. और उसमें आपको और भी careful रहना पड़ेगा because peer stealing marginalized people's work in research communities is very common. तो मैंने बहुत ही time लेकर, like it takes, like loneliness in academia is part of what your experience will be if you're coming from any sort of marginalized community, but it does not have to be lonely all the time, is my takeaway from it. कि मैं काफी situations होती है जिसमें मुझे लगता है कोई मेरे situation को समझ नहीं पाएगा, but उसी moment पे मैं, even though my peers might not be able to understand it or not be facing the same thing, बहुत ही thankfully मुझे एक दलित बहुजन women's community मिली है जो not only research but अलग-अलग fields में काम करती है. So if anybody here is really interested in joining and getting mentorship from that community, I'd be happy to introduce them. But main thing मैं ये कहना चाहती हूँ कि loneliness is a very big part of this journey, but you can find spaces that will support you. It might not be your immediate university या आपकी immediate advisors भी हो सकता है कि बहुत ही exploitative हैं और आपको मदद नहीं कर रहे हैं, पर आप उसके बाहर देखिए, क्योंकि अब हमारी community के लोग और हमारी like many marginalized people are making their way up in different spaces. और one of the ways to really solve this problem कि आप किसी और के साथ collaborate करें, especially जब आप बहुत ही young हैं as a researcher. ये मेरी learning थी कि जब तक मैं ऐसी field में नहीं गई जहाँ पे मैंने collaborate करना नहीं सीखा research में, मुझे लगता था कि मुझे अकेले ही सब करना पड़ेगा, and the fact that I will be really, you know, like if I don't figure this out on my own, I will never learn. I'm running out of time, so I'll just share one last incident and one last thing. One thing that I really want to talk about is कि अगर आप कोई भी marginalized section से हैं, especially if you're a woman in academia, अपने whisper networks पे बहुत ज़्यादा ध्यान दें, especially अगर आप नई community join कर रहे हैं या नई university join कर रहे हैं. बहुत ही recently एक student ने मुझे reach out किया था जहाँ पे वो बताना चाह रहे थे कि उनको लग रहा है कि वो they are not getting enough support from a professor that they expect support from, because वो भी बहुजन है और ये student भी बहुजन है. And वो कह रही थी कि मुझे लग रहा है कि मुझे मेरा ही like it is my fault and that I'm feeling this मैंने कुछ गलत किया है इसलिए मेरे साथ, you know, the people are not supporting me. And उनका ये भी reasoning था कि इस professor की इतनी ज़्यादा following है कि मैं कुछ बोल ही नहीं पाऊंगी, मतलब मैं कुछ कह ही नहीं सकती. And this is not just the case with this person. और भी instances हैं जहाँ पे बहुत ही popular cis male बहुजन academics हैं जो कि well known sexual harassers या harassers हैं academia में, And the power nexus that operates in a way in that, because हम इतने कम बहुजन्स हैं अलग-अलग spaces में, especially very few women, and even fewer non-binary or non-identifying with any of these spaces, it becomes even more difficult for us to feel like we can seek solidarity from our own people, because the worship culture within Bahujan males is very traumatizing and very difficult to navigate for you as women. And so मैं ये कहना चाहूंगी कि उस चीज में सबसे बड़ी important चीज ये है कि आप खुद को blame definitely ना करें, and to find a different community that, like, the person that, I mean, इस day and age में भी अगर आपको लग रहा है कि आप किसी के सामने अपनी आवाज नहीं रख पा रहे हैं, जो कि हमारी कम्युनिटी के लोगों को बहुत ही ज्यादा लगता है, and as a woman you might feel it even more, find a space where you can say it without confronting this person and feel safe about it. और वो space हो सकता है कि आपको अपनी कम्युनिटी में उसी immediate physical setting में ना मिले. तो ये थोड़ी सी learnings हैं. My biggest takeaway for my experience in research, being in the space that I am in, और जो मेरे खुद के experiences रहे हैं उसमें से, is that आप पावर और वल्नरेबिलिटी के रिलेशनशिप के बारे में प्लीज सोचिए. लाइक आपको कोई भी मोमेंट पे लग रहा है कि दिस थिंग इज मेकिंग मी रियली वल्नरेबल, एंड व्हाट इज इट दैट इज मेकिंग यू वल्नरेबल, व्हाट इज इट दैट इज मेकिंग इट डिफिकल्ट फॉर यू टू navigate research or being in academia or doing your what bare minimum that you want to do. तो उसके लिए आप कहाँ से सपोर्ट ढूंढ सकते हैं? And trust me, the support exists, like whether it's digital Nalanda, whether it is a space that is not exactly some, आपको लग रहा है कि कहीं नहीं है, but there is some space, and of course it is on us senior people in the academy to make sure that we reach out to other students. But when we are not able to, I think students should feel free to explore other spaces, कि आप और हम में से किसी के भी पास आप आइए और बात कीजिए इस चीज के बारे में, so that we can negotiate the boundaries that are making you feel like you cannot be in that space anymore, right? And so that is all I have to say from my experience, and sorry if I took more time than was allotted to me, but thank you.
Thank you, Palashi. It was really hello. It was really insightful experience and advice for us. और आई होप कि ये जो आपने जो भी बातें हमारे साथ शेयर की, ये फ्यूचर में जो यंग रिसर्चर है उनको बहुत हेल्पफुल होगी, और इसके बारे में और भी जानेंगे. तो हमारी जो सेकंड पैनलिस्ट रहेगी कोमल रजत, जो जिनका अभी हमने बोला था कि हम लास्ट में उनका लेंगे. तो कोमल जी, अभी आप एबल है बात करने के लिए? लाइक नेटवर्क इशू आपका यूज है?
हेलो.
हाँ, अभी आवाज आ रही.
Okay, so I just have changed my location.
Thank you.
So let's see how would it work now.
Okay.
So,
You can start.
Okay, so I was talking about what kind of experiences I have observed and I have seen in my department in University of Delhi. So I was talking about hello. I was
You are audible.
So I was talking about how the research scholars interested are gaslighted by the faculties and manipulated according to their own choices, and the scholar, especially the women scholars, because it's easy sometimes to manipulate them and to discourage them to research on some particular issue. So there are cases when the female students were manipulated not to work on Ambedkar and to work on Gandhi. It is not, I'm not saying that Gandhi is not like worthy to work, or one should not work on Gandhi, but the point is the researchers' interests are declined, researchers' interests are discarded at such places. Like academic spaces, as Palashi rightly has mentioned, that these spaces are very much Savarna spaces, Savarna dominated these spaces. So academic writings and academic interests also are developed in that way, when discourses from that understanding and ideology. So for this kind of understanding, there is a larger structural issue and larger structural aspect of this kind of dominance and this kind of manipulation of the interests. So there are when we like see these spaces, these are the not only gender related but very much caste related challenges in learning, not only like social science related research, but also technical science and technology related core researches as well, and it's a very universal phenomena. So these challenges could restrain female students and especially the women coming from specific background to achieve their fullest potential towards academic discourses and academic evolution. And disciplinary choices, as I already have mentioned, also affected by the socio-economic factors, and these socio-economic factors are not confined to their family background, but it affects them at larger level in these spaces, how to navigate in those spaces. So in case of scheduled caste, scheduled tribe students whose representation remains marginal in higher education, and and their experiences and their academic intervention not only get affected by the by the representation of their community or their representation over there, but through the pedagogical dominance as well. So when you see the literature and when you are into research and you have to deal with the literature, so and especially if you are having specific experiences and coming from a particular background, so you don't relate to that literature because it is very much Savarna dominated, Savarna oriented. So you don't find this literature very much relatable. For example, I was studying Hindu Code Bill, and when I was into this literature review for my research, so I did not find any work coming from Ambedkarite perspectives. There are two, three works on Hindu Code Bill, which is Nehru based, wherein that Nehru did this and that, and there was no discussion, no mention of Ambedkar as a important leader of the Hindu Code Bill. So and these kind of things are there, and in that way also your choices are like, for example, in my case it happened that I was suggested to work on Gandhi and instead of Ambedkar. So when I was going through the literature, I somehow found it that idea a positive, that if there is no literature on Ambedkar or Ambedkar's writings in academic spaces other than Ambedkar's volume, so there is no point of researching. So at some point of time, I was also getting carried away from that idea. But there are people. There are groups with whom I got connected, from whom I was getting some positive nuances, positive leads, and then my guide is also a mid-right person, so through him I was getting some positive leads, so I could work on that. So there are many such points where when you get put off because of this Savarna Brahmanical patriarchal mindset and that manipulation. So women coming from particular background, for example, Dalit women or scheduled caste women, are the most affected by this kind of academic spaces, which are very much stratified, and not only in their disciplines but in their programs and institutions, in their pedagogy, in their interaction. And when you find yourself in a very caste imbibed, gender imbibed spaces, for example, your peer group, your hostel, your classroom, your like in general your academic space, and interpersonal relationship in these spaces are very much caste imbibed. Caste is very much there. Or and even if you want to stay away from the caste issue and you are not working any issue related to caste or gender, you get into all these aspects because your research will be reduced to zero down to caste, or it will be like uh, it will be reduced and confined to caste issue or gender issue. So these are the problems, and not only like it is not general academic problem, but it is very much that caste in mind problem. So such kind of disparities are reflected not only with caste and tribe, but also at the regional level, also in different provinces. Disciplines boundaries not only limit choices of women and women of specific background, for the women of Dalit background. So higher education in that way is further denied to the disadvantaged groups, and especially women from rural background, from the poor economic background, and these are the reasons why um, why parents may be unwilling to spend on education as well as other aspects of it. So like it is not that very it is not one way kind of thing, and it is not in black and white that at one particular level it's decided, but at every level you are put off, you are discouraged to study further, to go further in your academic journey. So various social role expectations are not happen at home, but in academic spaces also. You are supposed to research on some specific issue. For example, if you are a woman, then will be advised to work something on women related issues. In like I coming from political science background, so political theory is considered kind of masculine idea. So in my center, women are discouraged to study on like to research on political theory related topics, and they are very much advised and suggested to work on some field work based women's issues, or and what kind of problems they are facing in general, like their domestic problems or otherwise problems. So these are the very much so patriarchal attitude very much imbibed, and it is affecting women's academic evolutions and academic interventions. So so these are the aspects, and then yeah, these are the points where which increase not only gender gap, which increase gender gap in academic spaces, but like caste variation also it creates. So, and other than that, privatization also is like one add-on point, where like when there's a discussion of privatization of academic spaces, universities and colleges, so there is always a discussion of that women disadvantaged castes and communities, and the women of those communities would be the one to be affected by the privatization of the academic spaces in universities. So the professional education is denied to the disadvantaged groups in general, and especially those are poor, and those are at the rural background. But then again, in those groups also, women of those communities, like disadvantaged groups, would be the one to be affected by these decisions because of socio-economic reasons. Resultantly, more women and Dalit women are taking up courses in general education, as these are the easily available and are cheaper as compared to professional courses. Professional education requires several years of studentship and higher financial investment than the general education. and so this is how like they get into the professional vocational courses rather than the academic further academic discourse, to engage with the further academic discourses. So when you see like uh, it does not happen in the abstract. It has a complete socio-cultural traditional aspect to get into women in general in the non-scientific discourses other than the men. Then when it comes to disadvantaged groups, so till now there are more in the social sciences and humanities than the scientific science and technology related courses. And then again there is a discrimination or discrimination and discouragement towards their research interests and their research topics, with so, which made them uh, to stop their academic journey or their academic interventions and not to engage very actively with their academic interests. So these are the problems. And like when it comes to like what kind of advice is given to the younger researchers, I mean like when we are in our own spaces also, our own collectives also. So if you are a woman and your academic journey, your academic development, your academic interventions are not considered as the is not considered as an evolution in itself, but it, it is kind of it is kind of overburdened on you, like in terms of benefits of education. For instance, women's education is taken as an individual's is not taken as an individual's education and its benefits in her individual capacity, rather than it is imposed on women in the normative sense, normative burden of the family society, and hence the country to be benefited by women's education. For example, like you might have heard that if you educate a son, you educate a person, but when you educate a daughter, you educate a family. Like there is an overburden that after getting educated, she will have to educate family, she will have to educate the burden, she will have to educate the nation or the country or the society. But I feel these are the overburden on women. It should not happen in that way. Women's education contribute in the society, benefit the society the way education does. So it is taken in that way only, that it should not be an added value or added burden on women. Women is an individual, and she developed the capacity and academic potentials in the same way. The same way a man can contribute and help the society, contribute into the nation building, and the society building for that matter, community building for that matter. So every citizen's education implies to benefit the surrounding circumstances cumulatively in the same way, whether it is men, whether it is women, whether it is some upper caste, whether it is any Dalit, scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, or any person for that matter. So the term education in that way carries with it carries with the notion of progress and empowerment, which is so taken for granted in this particular regard. And that interrogation of the term, its content, and the implication of its easy and widespread acceptance becomes barely even possible. So like to my fellow community people and other people also, that's my request and kind of urge that it should not be like if woman is getting education, she's into higher education, she should not be overburdened with that help the family. She should not be overburdened in on the value that she would be like these things, societal constructs would be benefited in that way and differently. So it is taken very neutral terms, that if a man can, the way men can help the society, the community, the nation building program, in the same way women's contribution, women's education will help in the same way. So education in that way, and higher education particularly, should be taken as the this patriarchal, caste oriented, value free notion and value free like point in that regard. So this is my this is my this is from my side in this conversation, and other things I may discuss when it when we are discussing about this panel thing. So I hope I guess I'm stopping there, and yeah.
Thank you, Komal. Hello. Thank you, Komal, for
Hello.
sharing your experience. It is really great. Like you talk about all the aspect that you experience while working while working in academia. Thank you so much for your journey. Now I want to open this platform to open for question. If anybody want to ask question, we can put it here. Before मतलब audience से आने से पहले I have some question to ask our panelists. Like everyone is here, right? So I want to ask a question like आपने अभी रिसर्च के एरिया में काम किया है, you have experience about it. So do you consider in future the shift happen in terms of like academic literature policy or any administrative change? आप ये देखते हो कहीं पे कि ये हो सकता है? पैनलिस्ट से आप कोई भी आंसर कर सकते हो.
क्या क्वेश्चन है तुम्हारा?
मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि डू यू कंसिडर इन फ्यूचर द शिफ्ट कैन हैपन इन टर्म्स ऑफ एकेडमिक लिटरेचर पॉलिसी एनी काइंड ऑफ एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव चेंज?
देखो, that's what, like, I didn't say what I wanted to say, but I will say within 2-3 points. Any education or any research has to have some result in the society. Okay, so there should have a direct connection between your education and reproduction of your country or the social reconstruction. And it has been seen that जो महिलाएं हैं, women हैं, वो जो है ज्यादा करके social science में दिखती है, medicines में दिखती है, and very few we see in the maths or STEM kind of thing or IT and other sectors. So अगर आप बोल रहे हैं कि and whatever the researchers we are doing, at least in social science sphere, so we have to have some kind of solutions to the problems, and therefore that is the goal to study. Otherwise there is no point just to discussing, and that should be the main aim of your research whenever you are searching for something, or you say that this problem is really important to discuss or to study. For what? For to give an answer. That means what? In a different areas, in academics, in policy, in administration, and that solution this is your responsibility. This is not like any publisher's responsibility कि आप जो बोल रहे हैं कि उसको ये करें, तो ये रिसर्चर्स की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है कि हाउ दैट योर रिसर्च can be more contributive for the result or for answer to this problem. तो डेफिनेटली जब हम कुछ रिसर्च कर रहे हैं तो वो पॉलिसी लेवल पे किस तरीके से उसको हाईलाइट किया जाए या किस तरीके से उसको पॉलिसी बनाया जाए, एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव लेवल पे कैसे उसको बनाया जाए, कम्युनिटी लेवल पे उसको किस तरीके से इम्पैक्टफुल या किस तरीके से उसको मटेरियलाइज किया जाए, तो वो सारी चीजें वो आती ही है जब आप कोई एक रिसर्च सोशल साइंस एटलीस्ट रिसर्च कर रहे हैं. तो इवन इन अदर रिसर्च ऑल्सो, लाइक That's what, like, I always give example of Columbia University. When I went and visited Columbia University, so there is in the Columbia University, between that there is one tunnel, और वो जो लेडी बता रही थी कि वो जो टनल नहीं था अंदर, और वो एक देयर वाज रेलवे ट्रैक एंड कोलंबिया यूनिवर्सिटी में बहुत बड़ा गैप था. So they want to create a social engineers, they want to create a social doctors, they want to create a social teachers. What does it mean? कि जो भी आपके स्किल्स है वो सोशल डेवलपमेंट के लिए आए, ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट के लिए आए. तो वो जो कनेक्शन है आपके स्किल का और ह्यूमन एंड सोशल कंस्ट्रक्शन का जो एक लिंक है, वो हमेशा बरकरार होना चाहिए. भले वो आप किसी भी फील्ड के हो, भले आप साइंस फील्ड के हो, टेक्नोलॉजी फील्ड के हो, एनी काइंड ऑफ फील्ड, but that should have your approach key, how your research, how your collaboration, how your the discussion, whatever you are doing, how it will be developed. And therefore what I always feel that the developed countries, why they are developed, because they give the answer to the problem and they literally implement that. Here हम जब करते हैं वो सिर्फ theoretical या से बात करने के लिए करते हैं, या उसको implementation level पे नहीं जा पा रहे, क्योंकि there are different reasons. Maybe political will, and I always believe that there is a, when there is a will, there is like a way. तो हमारे यहाँ पे पॉलिटिकल विल ही नहीं है, तो इसलिए बहुत सारे जो चीजें हैं वो बहुत कुछ हम करना चाहते हैं वो नहीं हो पा रहे. बट इट डजंट मीन कि वहाँ अब ऐसे चुपचाप बैठो. जैसे अभी मैं मेरा एग्जांपल दे रही हूँ कि जब महिलाओं सफाई कर्मचारी के साथ में काम कर रही थी, महिलाओं का एक आया कि वो खुद बोले कि हमें अपना खुद का एक अलायंस बनाना है, महिलाओं का अलायंस बनाना है. इट वॉज देयर इन माई माइंड कि महिलाओं का अलायंस बनाना है. तो कैसे बनाए? वो कोई नहीं बना रहा है, कोई ऑर्गेनाइजेशन नहीं बना रहा है. then I got an opportunity. I'm heading one organization. Then I felt no, I should have a national level alliance of women sanitation workers, and we have started. We are mobilizing women sanitation workers. So I have not stopped, because when I was collecting data, I knew that this is the gap. This is a gap in the field. How I will fill? Now I am filling this gap. So this is my responsibility. This is nobody has asked me कि नहीं हेमांगी तुम ये करो. किसी ने नहीं बताया मुझे. ये मुझे लग रहा था, ये मेरी जिम्मेदारी है कि मुझे समझ में आ रहा है कि ये रिसर्च गैप है, ये प्रैक्टिकल गैप है, ये फील्ड गैप है, एकेडमिक गैप है. तो वो being a researcher, being a community member, being a woman, or whatever it may be, being a human being, I feel that, and this is, you have to own the resources. We are resourceless. I know that we are resourceless, but यही आप tuning बताते रहेंगे, we are resourceless, we are resourceless. No, somewhere you have to feel that impactful कि नहीं, मुझे अभी किसी भी हालत में मुझे सिर्फ उसको अभी आगे लेके जाना है, कुछ तो करना है. तो ये आपकी बहुत बड़ी जिम्मेदारी है. ये आपका कॉल है कि आपको किस तरीके से उसको लेके जाना है, किस तरीके से उसको करना है. अभी मैं अलग अलग इंटरनेशनल लेवल पे एडवाइजरी बोर्ड पे हूँ. ILO, WHO, वर्ल्ड हेल्थ, SNV, ये सारी जो बड़ी बड़ी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस है, इंटरनेशनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, उनका एक प्रोजेक्ट चल रहा है सैनिटेशन वर्कर्स के में. आई एम रिप्रेजेंटिंग इंडिया. तो वो क्यों मैं पेनिट्रेट कर रही हूँ इंटरनेशनली? why I want to have a representation? Because I want to lead my community. I want to make the changes in the society. I want to make the changes in the policies. वो बहुत स्ट्रक्चरल लेवल पे, बहुत लार्जर लेवल पे शायद नहीं कर पाऊंगी, लेकिन जितना मेरे से हो सके, अगर आप अप्रोच रखोगे तो ही कुछ चेंजेस हो सकते हैं. अगर आप सिर्फ एकेडमिक लेवल पे, रिसर्च लेवल पे आप रिसर्च करके उसको बाइंडिंग करके आप रख रहे हो, then there is no point. Then there is no point at all. You need to have your actions very mentally, and उसको बहुत impactful और उसको बहुत ही courageously उसको resourceful बनाना है आपको. वो किस तरीके से बनाना है, this is your call. This is totally your call. So ये जो है, तो आप चेंजेस ला सकते हैं, आप बहुत सारी चीजेस कर सकते हैं. क्योंकि मेरे इतने छोटे से अभी PhD के लेवल में और PhD के बाद का मैं एटलीस्ट 3 साल हो गया है मेरे PhD का, 2 साल, लेकिन मैं खुद को देख रही हूँ एज ए रिसर्चर, एज ए एकेडमिशियन, एज ए एक्टिविस्ट, में खुद को देख रही हूँ ट्रेमेंडस चेंजेस. एंड आई रियली फील very impactful and I'm really feeling very resourceful, वो आपको बहुत उसको इन्वॉल्व, खुद को इतना डीपली उसमें डालना पड़ेगा, और यू हैव टू जस्ट फेस इट। वो कोई भी हो, कैसे भी हो, और वो टाइम पे आपको डिस्क्रिमिनेशन हो रहा है, कोई टॉन्ट मार रहा है, जो कुछ भी है, टेक इट लाइटली, क्योंकि ये आप ऐसे ही कम्युनिटी में या ऐसी ही सोसाइटी में है जहाँ पे आपको यही चीज मिलेगी। मेक योर माइंड दैट वे। लेकिन उसके बावजूद भी आपको किस तरीके से करना है, कैसे फोर्स बनाना है, ये आपकी जिम्मेदारी है। और मैं हमेशा स्टूडेंट्स को और इनको बोलती हूँ कि लार्जर मूवमेंट जो है, बहुजन मूवमेंट है या जो अम्बेडकराइट मूवमेंट है, उससे डायरेक्ट कनेक्ट हो जाओ। उससे डायरेक्ट कनेक्ट होने के बाद आपको पावर महसूस होता है, उसको आप पावरलेस फील नहीं करते हो, क्योंकि एकेडमिक स्पेसेस में और यहाँ पे आपको बहुत डिग्रेडेड किया जाता है। मैंने खुद फेस किया है, इवन अपने खुद के दलित प्रोफेसर के सामने बहुत उन्होंने कास्ट, इवन उन्होंने जेंडर से बहुत टॉन्ट मारा था, लेकिन आई टूक इट। Why? Because I knew that Ambedkarite जो whole larger जो movement है, उसने मुझे बहुत बैकअप किया है, या वहां से जो लिटरेचर आया है, वो लिटरेचर से मुझे फाइट करने का बहुत करेज मिला है। तो डोंट गिव अप। और ये छोटी छोटी चीजें है, वो क्या एक छोटे से इंस्टीट्यूट में क्या है, वो क्या ज्यादा क्या रहेंगे, प्रोफेसर रहेंगे, उससे ज्यादा क्या है उनकी हैसियत। So don't go on that professional kind of position. You have to build your own kind of empire. That's what I would say. You have to build your own empire, and you have to be very resourceful on your own way.
Thank you so much, Hemangi. इस तरह से बात की, I think I hope lots of young researchers got what they want. पालाशी, आप इस पे कुछ बोलना चाहोगे?
I don't think I can top Dr. Hemangi's comment of building your own empire, जो कि बहुत बात है। एक चीज मैं ये कहना चाहूंगी कि अभी के एकेडमिक स्पेसेस में, स्पेशली इन इंडिया, डिस्पाइट द फैक्ट कि हमारी कम्युनिटी के लोग धीरे धीरे दे आर मेकिंग देयर वे इनटू इट, बहुत ही ज्यादा सोर्सेज और बहुत ही ज्यादा रिसोर्सेज डाले जा रहे हैं टू कीप आवर पीपल आउट, एंड जो कि सबसे बड़ी चैलेंज है बिकॉज ऑफ द फैक्ट कि एक बात तो ये है कि आप अपनी खुद की रिप्रेजेंटेशन अगर फैकल्टी में नहीं देख रहे हैं तो आप खुद को भी उधर जाते हुए इमेजिन नहीं कर पाते हैं। सो दैट इज वन बिट ऑफ इट, बट द सेकेंड पार्ट ऑफ इट इज ऑल्सो दैट कि स्ट्रक्चरली जो यूनिवर्सिटी स्पेसेस हैं वो डिजाइन ही है हमारे स्टूडेंट्स और हमारे लोगों को बाहर रखने के लिए। तो उसमें आप अपना रोड कैसे बनाएंगे? मैं तो बहुत ही प्रैग्मेटिक और स्ट्रेटेजिक रूट कहूंगी कि one part, and some of it is also coming from my own experience, and I will not go in too much detail because I know we're running out of time, but मैं जिस एक्सपीरियंस से आई हूँ, बिकॉज मेरे माँ बाप जिस कम्युनिटी में काम कर रहे हैं वो अगेन लाइक बिकॉज इट इज अ मेडिकल कम्युनिटी डोमिनेटेड विद अपर कास्ट, एंड दे वर वन ऑफ द फ्यू और वन ऑफ द वेरी फ्यू पीपल दैट दे न्यू हु वर दलित। उन्होंने अपर कास्ट के साथ कैसे स्ट्रेटेजिकली अपनी पोजीशन बढ़ाई जाए उसके रिलेशनशिप्स बिल्ड किए। It also comes at its own cost, which is a different conversation altogether. पर मैं ये कहना चाहूंगी कि अगर इस स्पेस में हम पॉलिसी वाइज देख रहे हैं तो at this point there is no policy that is welcoming lower caste students. In fact, with the NOS cancellation और भी ज्यादा मुझे लग रहा है कि everything is working against our students to make it. तो हम लोगों को ही साथ में आना होगा so that we are able to make these spaces possible for our students. So for example, मैं जब हर साल जो भी PhDs के लिए बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स हमारी कम्युनिटी और हर कम्युनिटी से अप्लाई करते हैं, मैंने एक रूल बना लिया है कि मैं बहुजन कम्युनिटी में भी मैं कुछ ही कम्युनिटी के लोगों को हेल्प करूंगी और मेरी रिसोर्सेज मैं उधर ही स्पेंड करूंगी, बिकॉज ऑफ द फैक्ट कि I have limited resources and I will spend them on supporting the people that I think really need it the most. So this is just a very small example. तो मुझे लग रहा है कि I don't have too many hopes from the administration at this point of time, whether it is in private or government, to bhul hi jao. So my hope is with the people from our community who are actually managing to enable our students and researchers. So this platform is one example of it, but going forward, मुझे लग रहा है, मुझे उसमें ज़्यादा भरोसा है at this point of time than administrative and policy work, like having our back, you know. Yeah.
Thank you, Palashi. There is one question. How can professionals support academics in this circle? We don't have much as an individual, but within such workshop, we can must do whatever we can. Like, I think it's suggestion as well as question.
कोमल, आप एड्रेस करना चाहेंगे इस क्वेश्चन को?
Hello, Komal.
Okay, yeah.
क्या है दुर्गा तुम्हारा क्वेश्चन?
How can professionals support academician in these circles?
अच्छा, सो जैसे अभी नालंदा एकेडमी कर रही है एंड दिस इज रियली वेरी, दे आर डूइंग वेरी वंडरफुल जॉब. और जिस तरीके से ये अय्यंकाली कॉन्फ्रेंस बनाया है और उस तरीके से फिर अभी अलग अलग रिसर्चर्स को जुड़ा रहे हैं. इसके पहले भी मेरा एक फ्रेंड है, वो IIPS है, और हमारा ऐसे ही टॉक चल रहा था कि क्यों ना हम जो भी बहुजन समाज से आए हैं, दलित समाज से आए हैं, क्यों ना हम अपना एक ग्रुप बनाया जाए और हम ही लोग अपने जो स्टोरीज है या अपनी जो रिसर्च है या अपनी जो फिलॉसफी है उसको किस तरीके से रिसर्च में लाया जाए और किस तरीके से पेपर्स पब्लिकेशन हो या फिर बुक पब्लिकेशन हो, उस तरीके से हम किया जाए. क्योंकि जैसे कोमल ने भी बोला कि लिटरेचर नहीं है, तो मालूम नहीं, लेकिन मेरे फील्ड में सफाई कर्मचारी के इसमें बहुत सारा लिटरेचर है, जैसे भंगी है या फिर बहुत सारे ऐसे हैं. तो मुझे बहुत सारी चीजें वहां से सीखी मैंने, कास्ट से रिलेटेड, हाउ कास्ट एंड ऑक्यूपेशन इज लाइक ये. और जब वो पढ़ के मुझे लगा कि क्या रिसर्च गैप है. सो दैट इज व्हाट योर कंट्रीब्यूशन इज, टू फाइंड आउट द रिसर्च गैप इन द एकेडमिक्स एंड इन द फील्ड लेवल. तो जिस तरीके से अय्यंकाली कॉन्फ्रेंस जो है, तो ये एक कॉन्फ्रेंस तक सीमित ना रहे, तो ये एक अभी थिंक टैंक बनाया जाए रिसर्चर्स का. और जो भी हम, जैसे अभी हम मेंटरशिप कर रहे थे, मैंने मेंटरशिप किया 2 स्टूडेंट का, और भी जैसे हार्वर्ड यूनिवर्सिटी के में इन्वेस्टिगेटर, प्रिंसिपल इन्वेस्टिगेटर करके काम कर रही हूँ, तो उनके जो स्टूडेंट है उनको भी मैं रिसर्च गाइड वगैरह कर रही हूँ. तो ये जो हम जो रिसर्चर्स का काम करते हैं, मेंटरशिप करने का काम कर रहे हैं, तो वो कंटिन्यू रहना चाहिए, वो थ्रू आउट ईयर रहना चाहिए. और वो किस तरीके से अभी हम बरकरार रखें, रिसर्च की कम्युनिटी बरकरार रखें, और जो रिसर्च जो आ रहे हैं, जो हमारे जो यंग जनरेशन आ रहे हैं, उनको भी हम इन्वॉल्व करते रहे. और किस तरीके से ये जो बिल्डअप हम कर रहे हैं दोनों रिसर्चर्स का, मेंटर एंड मेंटीज का, वो कंटिन्यू बनाया रहे और ना कि सिर्फ ये कॉन्फ्रेंस तक लिमिट रहे. तो ताकि जो नेक्स्ट जनरेशन जो आएंगे, तो वो गैप नहीं मतलब महसूस करेंगे, या फिर वो आइसोलेटेड महसूस नहीं करेंगे. क्योंकि क्या रहता है, सभी का मेंटल स्टेटस जो है, जो एक जैसा नहीं रहता है कि बहुत इंथुसियास्टिक या बहुत कॉन्फिडेंट ओरिएंटेड या ऐसे उस तरीके का नहीं रहता. कभी कभी उनका लो हो जाता है या बहुत सारी चीजें होती है. तो ये जो ग्रुप रहेगा मेंटर एंड मेंटी का दोनों का, तो उनको एक पीयर ग्रुप भी मिलेगा मेंटी के रूप में, और रिसर्चर जो है, मेंटर जो है, वो उनके रूप में एक गाइडेंस का भी एक मिलेगा. तो ना ओनली एक एकेडमिकली उनको एक सपोर्ट मिलेगा, तो सोशली उनको एक सपोर्ट मिलेगा, मॉरल सपोर्ट मिलेगा, और उनको एक लिटरेचर वाला जैसा भी सपोर्ट मिलेगा. जैसे हम सफाई कर्मचारी के जो पेपर लिख रहे हैं, तो हम एज ए जो भी हमारे जो फ्रेंड्स हैं उनको मिलके हम सफाई कर्मचारी के ऊपर पेपर लिखते हैं. तो हमने अपना एक खुद का एक नेटवर्क बना के रखा है. लेकिन ये सभी लोग होता है वैसा नहीं है. तो लेकिन अगर अय्यंकाली जो कॉन्फ्रेंस जो भी ऑर्गेनाइज कर रहे हैं, तो मैं उनको एक रिक्वेस्ट करूंगी, तो ये जो है ये सिलसिला आप कंटिन्यू रखें और उसी तरीके से जो मेंटर और मेंटरशिप का जो संबंध है वो बरकरार रखे, तो ताकि नेक्स्ट जनरेशन जो आएंगे उनको ये क्वेश्चन नहीं रहेगा कि हमें कहाँ से लिटरेचर मिलेगा, हमें कहाँ से इनपुट्स मिलेगा, हमें कहाँ से मॉरल सपोर्ट मिलेगा, हमें कहाँ से ये सारा चीज। सो ये वैक्यूम जो है या जो उनका जो अंदर का जो इनहिबिशन है वो नहीं रह के वो कंटिन्यू रहेगा। इस मतलब वो एक ये पार्ट रहेंगे ये मेंटर एंड मेंटरशिप का प्रोसेस का, तो वो आप कंटिन्यू रखो।
थैंक यू हेमांगी। बिफोर क्लोजिंग दिस सेशन मैं ये बताना चाहती हूँ कि अगर आप अपना ऑडियो ऑन करते तो हम एटलीस्ट एक स्क्रीनशॉट ले सके, क्योंकि हमारे पास अदर ऑप्शन नहीं है तो सबको एक साथ लेने के लिए। तो कोमल, नो ऑडियो, सिर्फ वीडियो ऑन कर दीजिए ताकि हम एक स्क्रीनशॉट ले सके। थैंक यू कोमल। I hope it's done. Thank you. Thank you so much everyone. आपने अपना जो जर्नी, जो एक्सपीरियंस, आपने जो रिसर्च से लेकर हमारे साथ शेयर किया, जो हमारे लिए बहुत वैल्यूएबल है और हमारी जो फ्यूचर रिसर्चर जो टीम उभर के आएंगी उनके लिए ये हेल्पफुल होगा बहुत सारी चीज़ों में, बहुत सारी चीज़ों से निकलने के लिए। थैंक यू सो मच एवरीवन, आपने अपना टाइम दिया और अपना एडवाइस दिया। कोमल, आपको कुछ बात करनी है?
No, actually, I was about to talk about the questions in academic policy, but that was dealt very well by Palashi and Hemangi, so I guess I want to speak.
अगर आपको बोलना है तो आप 2 मिनट में बोल सकते हैं।
Thank you very much, but yeah, I was also thinking on the same line that to policy level pay it may not like it may not materialize in that way, but yeah, in academic spaces, for example, there are some faculties who are having that kind of understanding, who are very much into Ambedkar's philosophy, and they are helping their students. So it's not only that non-institutional setups also, like there are Nalanda Institute, या फिर this Ayyankali, these contributions and these activities are there, but in academic spaces also, with the help of some Ambedkarite oriented scholars and professors, there are groups who are helping students who are coming marginalized sections and who are interested in researching on the topics and the issues related to these scholarships and the philosophies originating from the marginalized sections. So yeah, there are certain groups and they do organize their activities for the scholars who are coming from the same background. So yeah, there are some changes at that level, and there's a continuous academic learning and academic creation of academic discourse in the conventional university setup also, but very small and very limited scope is there. But yeah, there are processes, there is evolution on that regard. So that's something I wanted to add on what Hemangi and Palashi were saying.
थैंक यू कोमल, आपने खुद से होके बात की। थैंक यू सो मच फॉर योर इनसाइट्स। और ये जो हमारा जो सेकंड सेशन है मैं यहाँ पे ख़त्म हो गया। मैं ये याद करती हूँ और सर को बोलती हूँ कि वो जो हमारा वर्कशॉप है उसको आगे लेके जाए। थैंक यू सर।
थैंक यू दुर्गा, थैंक यू ऑल ऑफ आवर पैनलिस्ट्स। एंड जैसा कि आप सबने अपनी बात रखी और हेमांगी स्पेशली आप जैसे बोल रहे हैं कि ये कॉन्वर्सेशन यहाँ रुकना नहीं चाहिए, वही हमारा भी गोल है कि दिस बिकम्स अ सीरीज एंड अ नेटवर्क, और हम अपना एक नेटवर्क बनाए जहाँ पर यंग रिसर्चर्स को एक्सपीरियंस्ड हैंड्स के साथ कॉन्वर्सेशन मिले और वो अपना प्रोजेक्ट और अपना काम आगे बढ़ाए। तो उम्मीद करते हैं कि उसमें आपका और आप सभी का हमें सपोर्ट मिलेगा और आप जुड़े रहेंगे, एंड वी कंटिन्यू टू मेंटर यंगर रिसर्चर्स गोइंग अहेड। Speaking of younger researchers, our first speak session is coming up after the lunch break, जहाँ पर we have 5 young researchers who are all coming up with their first kind of a proper research presentation. So we'll listen to them. So we'll right now take a break from ये break का session है. 2 बजे हम वापस मिलते हैं. 2 p.m. we'll start our session with Hari Bapuji and Pradeep. Where वो मैनेजमेंट स्टडीज में रिसर्च में किस तरीके से सोशल इंक्लूजन और सोशियोलॉजिकल वेरिएबल्स के साथ में काम किया जा सकता है और करना चाहिए कि नहीं करना चाहिए, क्योंकि मैनेजमेंट स्टडीज एक बहुत ही एपॉलिटिकल टाइप का डिसिप्लिन समझा जाता है. तो क्योंकि हम अलग अलग डिसिप्लिन देख रहे हैं तो इट विल बी अ वेरी गुड सेशन. दे आर बोथ रियली ग्रेट स्कॉलर्स, इंटरनेशनल स्कॉलर्स जो हमारे साथ जुड़ेंगे. और उनके बाद हमारा जैसे का फर्स्ट स्पीक सेशन है. और वील एंड टुडे विद द लास्ट सेशन जहाँ पर प्रोफेसर बोधी आएंगे IISER से, जहाँ पर हम एपिस्टेमिक रिसर्च और रिसर्च के क्या पॉलिटिक्स होते हैं, साइटेशंस वगैरह के ऊपर डिस्कशन करेंगे. तो बहुत कुछ है आज के सेशन में. होपफुली ऑल आवर ऑडियंस विल बी देयर. लंच के सेशन के बाद हम मिलते हैं, आप सभी से जुड़ते हैं 2 बजे के बाद. थैंक यू टू ऑल आवर पैनलिस्ट, थैंक यू टू दुर्गा, and see you all after the break. Thank you.